Hello, everybody. My name is Jason High. I'm here to react to a loss for the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football, 27-19 to the Green Bay Packers. This was a very frustrating game to watch at times. The Chiefs obviously only scored 19 points tonight, and Green Bay got 27. So it was really kind of one of those games that you feel like neither side of the ball played very well. Offensively, at times, they played very well. Defensively, I would say overall they did not play well. However, they did have a couple of moments late in the game that did give them a chance. A lot of people are going to talk about the missed penalty to Marquez Valdes-Scantling on the last drive there. I think we're going to break this video down into two separate parts. First, I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about the game as a whole. That was obviously pass interference. I think it was clearly a foul. I think that, that would have put the Chiefs at the 5-yard line with 35 seconds to go. I don't think anybody in the world thinks that they were not going to score a touchdown right there. They did still need to get a 2-point conversion, though. But I think that the Chiefs, obviously with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, you always feel like they have a chance to score in those situations. So, yes, the penalty was a backbreaker. It was huge. It was a big missed call. The Packers also had a roughing it was a personal foul, late hit, out of bounds penalty against Mahomes earlier in the drive. It wasn't a penalty. That was a bad call too. I think a lot of people are going to be complaining about the ref or the officiating tonight, and I think for good reason, because I think that they really missed some calls tonight that were really pretty bad, especially on that last drive. Those two right there. Pacheco made a bad decision. He got too upset, heat in the moment type situation. Shoving the player. That got them a 15-yard penalty, even though at the time, he probably thought it was a turnover. It was probably a frustrating type penalty in terms of he thought that they had lost the game right there. Still something you can't do. You gotta keep your composure. I'm not worried about that in the long haul. He is a fiery player. It's part of what makes him great. Bad penalty that was missed there at the end of the game. I think the Chiefs absolutely score a touchdown if they just make a call. I feel like when you see pass interference penalties in particular, it's a very subjective call. I think that's a call that they call 10 out of 10 times. I mean, obviously they didn't this time, so I'll go 9.9 out of 10 times, but that's a call that they make almost every time, and they just didn't this time. It happens. Officiating in the NFL is not always good, and tonight it was not very good. So now that's one part of the game, though. That's a small part of what I want to talk about tonight. Because that's just a bad penalty. It's the officiating. You don't ever want to be in that situation. You don't ever want to be in a situation where you need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion just to tie the game with less than a minute and a half to go. You don't ever want to be in that position. Yes, the penalty should have been called. And had it been called, I think the Chiefs' chances of winning this game were very good. I think right now they may be still playing the game. I think it may have been going to overtime. But the bigger thing is really just the way the team played as a whole tonight. So there were large portions of tonight's game that I felt like, okay, the Chiefs' defense is kind of sleepwalking a little bit, kind of like they did against the Raiders last week early on. You felt like, okay, their defense is obviously not having a great game tonight, but I think they're going to get it figured out. I think they're going to get it going. Jordan Love made some really nice throws tonight. I think you got to give him some credit. Christian Watson made some really nice catches. Dillon was running the ball really well. The Packers' offense looks good. The Packers look like a team that started poor and are starting to pick up some steam, and they were at home. So this is not a bad loss by any means. If you're the Chiefs, it's one that you really didn't want to have, considering you're fighting with 3 other teams for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So it hurts for sure because the Chiefs now no longer control their own destiny when it comes to the playoff race and getting home field and the bye week in the playoffs. But it is a out-of-conference loss. It's an NFC loss. So if you're looking ahead at their schedule, if you were going to lose one more game, which I felt like the Chiefs were probably going to lose one more. I didn't think they were going to run the table and go 14-3. This team just doesn't feel like a 14-3 type team. They're just not that. They don't have enough overall talent everywhere to just run through a regular season like that. We'll get to the playoffs here in a second in terms of what I think this means for them as a playoff team. But you wanted to win the game, but your defense, I think, really had long stretches tonight where they just weren't getting it done. They had some injuries tonight that I think really hurt them. Losing Drew Tranquill early in the game really hurts, especially without Nick Bolton, who Nick Bolton is practicing. He got activated off of the injured list this past week, and he has a 21-day window starting last week to where he can, where the Chiefs have to activate him to the active roster. So you'll probably see him pretty soon. I'm okay with them easing him back. He's a very important player. So yeah, you had some injuries tonight. Brian Cook, obviously, unfortunately, looks like he hurt his ankle pretty badly. He might be out for some time. So you had some injuries that I think hurt you a little bit, but the defense just really wasn't playing well tonight overall. They weren't getting consistent pressure on the quarterback. They were missing tackles early on. They had some miscommunications that led to some big plays, as Chris Collinsworth pointed out. So the defense did not play, I think, particularly well. I'm going to give the defense a C- for tonight's game. I'm only going to give them that high of a grade because of the injuries and because they did get a couple of late stops with a field goal that was forced as a 48-yarder that gave you a chance. But yeah, the offensive side of the ball tonight, I think I'm going to walk away from this encouraged by some things, but also discouraged overall. The big things I'm encouraged by are the way that they were able to consistently run the ball tonight. I thought was very good. I thought that was very good to see them feeding Pacheco consistently, even to, I wouldn't say to a fault, but even at one point it was to a fault. They gave him, they tried a run play on a 2-point conversion attempt, which I would have never thought Andy Reid would have tried a 2-point conversion attempt. A run on a 2-point conversion attempt. It was early in the game, mind you. I don't think if his back was against the wall, I don't think he's running the ball right there. I just don't think so. But I think the Chiefs were confident in their run game tonight. I think they were confident in their interior offensive line, and I think that's going to help them going forward whenever they are in 4-minute offense situations again, when they have short yardage situations, got to have it type deals. I think they're going to be able to do that more consistently going forward, which I think is important. Patrick, I thought, played very well tonight overall. He threw that interception that was a backbreaker. That was, it was the second to last drive of the game. He threw an interception trying to get the ball to Sky Moore. You just kind of have to live with that with him sometimes. He's going to throw an interception every now and then. It's part of what makes him great. I don't know what happened on that play. It looks like the defensive back just made a really great play on the ball, but it was definitely over-aggressive, and it was a completely unnecessary turnover by Mahomes. And I know that he knows that, and again, it's just one of those things where I think in the playoffs, I don't think that's something he's going to do very often, but it does happen every now and then, and I won't say that lost them the game tonight because I don't think it did, because I thought he played very well otherwise throughout the game, but where I really felt like the game turned for me watching it in terms of what made me feel like, okay, maybe the Chiefs aren't just going to come back and win this like they always do. It was actually the drive before that, whenever the Chiefs defense finally forced a stop. The Chiefs had scored touchdowns on consecutive possessions. Up until that point, the Chiefs had yet to punt the ball. They had scored on every drive, field goals at least. And there's a miscommunication downfield to MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Chris Collinsworth pointed out on the broadcast he flared inside on his route rather than just running straight. Patrick threw the ball where he should have been, and he wasn't there. And that would have been, at the very least, a first down, but that may have been a very, very big gain, if not maybe even a touchdown. There was still a safety over there, but MVS, when he has the ball, is very fast. That, I thought, was kind of a demoralizing play. Even though it was only on second down, they still had a third down attempt after that, but I just felt like it just kind of highlights that the Chiefs receivers outside of it's starting to look like Rashee Rice. He had another good game tonight. I don't know how many yards he had, but he had a good game. He caught the passes that he needed to. He made some plays. He had a few catches. He looked dynamite with the ball again. But again, consistently, I just don't think the Chiefs and maybe even Patrick Mahomes trusts his receivers down the field consistently. And I think that is the biggest concern I have for the offense going forward. Is just that I think that that's going to be a problem going forward if you really feel like your quarterback doesn't trust his receivers downfield to make plays, because that's another one that is in the books as a play that should have been completed that's not on the quarterback. And again, Mahomes is going to miss some throws. He overthrew Rice on the second to last drive as well. I believe it was the play after that one, or maybe it was the play before. It was on that same drive, I think. Overthrew him, and then they ended up calling a penalty, so I guess it wasn't that drive. But yeah, Mahomes wasn't perfect tonight, but I thought he played well overall. I mean, he's his usual spectacular self. I mean, late in games, that last drive, again, that throw he made to MVS that should have been a pass interference penalty was right on the money. It would have been caught had he not been interfered with. So yeah, I thought Mahomes played well. I'm certainly not worried about him. I think the play calling is improving for the team overall, which I am excited about. But I think that there's definitely some concerns going forward looking at going into the playoffs. So yeah, right now the Chiefs are going to have to get their offensive woes figured out a little bit, and I would like to see them get healthy on defense, and I think they need to get that figured out before the playoffs start. So that's it for tonight. Have a good week. Go Chiefs, and talk to y'all later.